Awful.
Mm-hmm. There we are. We're live.
Oh, I saw a stateside truck driving around today.
Oh yeah, in
On my
Philly.
on my walk to the gym, I saw a stateside truck, and it made me think
Ah,
I have the bottle. It's in my kitchen. I have the
the
bottle,
Ricky
but
bottle.
but I never got the seltzer, so I want to figure out where I can get it.
We got to get you some seltzers. Clement, you watching? Get CJ some seltzers. Oh, you haven't
Clement,
even
is that a
tried
name?
that. What's that? Clement is like
Clement, like Corey
Clement.
Clement.
Yes, is like there's Clement, there's Eddie, but they have for the vodka sodas now. They have single flavor boxes now, whereas originally they just had the party pack with all of the different flavors, but now you can single in on them.
I'm kind of
And
a party pack kind of guy,
well,
to be honest.
so, all right, so I love the vodka sodas, the stateside vodka sodas, stateside glass right here, official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter, stateside vodka.
That's right.
I don't love the cucumber one, and I think it's cucumber lime. I think what it is I just fucking hate cucumber.
Yeah.
I hate everything cucumber. Do you have any vegetables or fruits that you're just fucking no way on?
Cucumber is definitely one of them. Like cucumber flavored things. I had one of the leading competitors for seltzers. Lime is like my bottom tier.
Oh,
like,
you hate lime?
Lime flavored.
Oh, well then you would hate the cucumber lime.
Yeah, no, I want
the other
to try.
Flavors are very good.
Yeah,
Look, if you like cucumber, you like lime. That flavor is great, but I'm not into cucumber. So for anyone watching, we're just gonna. Mike is finishing up something, so we're just gonna hang out and stream until Mike gets here, and that's when we'll do the pod. So if you're watching on YouTube or Twitch and you have any questions, I actually think we should do non-basketball because I don't want to have to do the basketball stuff twice. You should just hit us up with that. So how is your new CJ moved in? CJ lives in, I don't even know what that area is called now.
I say Logan Square.
Okay, Logan Square.
I think it's technically Center City, but I say Logan Square because it's right by Logan Square.
Okay, I don't even know what Logan Square is, but that's right where my work used to be. Where Odyssey, Philadelphia used to be at 24th and Market. So how is is this the first time you've lived in the city?
Yeah.
And is it the first time that you lived on your own?
Yes and yes. Yeah, I grew up in South Jersey. I moved out for a little bit with a college friend, but I was pretty much in Atlantic City, right outside the entire duration of my life. So first time being alone, first time in a city, first time in Philly. So, and like I had only really gone to Philly to go to games and stuff. So like this is my first time actually like being in Philly for an extended period of time and not just the Wells Fargo Center or the Link or whatever.
Wow. So you went in like full bore because you have the apartment to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Man, that's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
All that time by yourself is amazing.
Yeah. A lot of time so far, but I'm finally at the point where like pretty much everything is set up. Like there's a few things like I need to get more storage options. Like I got got a crate back there that like normally I had in my room before that I didn't bring everything over. So I'm going to put like a shelf here, I think. But yeah, pretty much all set. I got some
stuff
photos
on the walls.
Some photos I've taken.
You don't look like a serial killer anymore?
Yeah.
Are you a photo guy? Do you take photos?
Not like I do it like recreationally. These are all like I go on a road trip every summer and like that's like Montana, that's a lot like national parks and stuff. So I like doing that and, for my own enjoyment, but yeah.
You're talking about national parks and stuff like 2 or 3 years ago, man, it's been 2 years of COVID. So it must be more than 2 years ago, 4 years ago. My brother and I are really close. I have a couple brothers, but the one that is 8 years older than me lives in Los Angeles, works for Disney.
Yeah.
And we're close, but when we would visit each other, like one of us would get here and we just wouldn't know what to do all day before dinner. So we would watch TV and annoy each other. So we decided to go hiking because we're both active people. I fucking love hiking, but I
You hurt your back, right?
Well, no, I'm always scared of my back, but the other thing is I'm not going to do dumb stuff to hurt my back, but a life experience like hiking somewhere cool, I'll take a shot. Like if I hurt myself, I hurt myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I discovered I'm scared of heights and I never knew.
Really?
We were hiking in San Bernardino, like on the side of a mountain thing.
Mm-hmm.
You wonder how more people don't die hiking. Do you ever think of that? Because
yeah, there's been plenty of times where it's just like I one wrong step and it's over.
You're just fucking dead. Yeah, like we were on the side of this mountain thing, and the path is, when I say 3.5 feet wide, that's probably all it was. Just, like maybe a little more than shoulder length and shoulder width. And you're on the side of this mountain and there's nobody there. Like there's no like people there to catch you. There's no guardrails or anything. And if you fell and died, I don't even know if anybody would notice.
Yeah, no, a lot. Yeah, you're fucked. I was at Yellowstone like 2 weeks before that girl was killed by her boyfriend. That was like really in the news.
Oh, yeah.
Like we could have like driven past each other. Like it was like right around the same time frame last summer, and like not that happens all the time, but people can fall, people can like hurt themselves and then get stuck in a place and then like not have anyone to call because you don't have service in a lot of places.
Yes, that's the other thing. I was like, what if I break my ankle? How are we going to get back? We're 3 hours away. But I feel, and there was at one point where we were walking and we stopped. I was like, I don't know what I got to sit here and eat a sandwich. So we sat and we ate a sandwich. I didn't know what I was going to do because we were 2.5 hours from where we started, maybe 4 hours to get to the other side of it or something. And I just started, I had to fucking nut up and do something. So I just started looking immediately in front of me and not looking to the side or anything. Not like you want to see the beauty, but I was terrified. I was just terrified.
Yeah. It's a tough balance too, because you also don't instinctively after you're hiking for a bit, you want to just look at your feet because you don't want to trip over like stumps or whatever, like if you're on a mountain. But you need to look up for like if there's like bears or moose in that area, like you need to keep an eye out for that. I think generally they encourage to hike in groups of people, which I generally do. So if you fall, then I think your chances are better if there's someone looking out for where you're going.
The last thing about that hike in San Bernardino, and we tried to get video of it, but it just doesn't convey what we did. There was apparently like these hot springs that everybody hung out at. We wanted to see these hot springs. But we got to this place where there was a hill that went down like this. Like I'm not even bullshitting. It was really steep. And we started going down it. And I said to my brother, like halfway down it, I said, wait a minute. If we go down this hill, we're going to have to come back up this hill. And so we go down it and you're basically sliding. Like there were certain points where I was sliding on my butt and we got back and we looked at it and it really was like this to climb up it. And we got to the top of it and we both like pretty much collapsed at the top of it. But as we're walking back, like we see so many normal people that obviously conquered this thing. I was like, I wanted to ask them, did you get up that thing? Did you see that? Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know how everybody got up it.
The worst thing to happen to you is when you see like an elderly woman walking her dog doing the same path that you just did, or like an 8-year-old doing the same path that you just did. Like in Rainier, Mount Rainier in Washington, there's a point in one of the hikes that just like you described, but there's a rope because it's so steep. You need to like drop the rope like, I don't know, 30, 40 feet. And like, it's, a little scary. Like if you have like a lot of gear and stuff, I think a lot of people backpack out on that route. And like coming up is also tough because you've done this long hike since then and you're heading back and you got to do all this stuff. And then on the way back, you see like, kids and elderly people just, cruising along.
Yeah, I'm not judging, but I saw like a couple of fat guys, and I was like, "How did you do that?"
Another thing to mention is, topical. Have you ever hiked in the Midwest or in Denver specifically?
So the first place we went was Boulder, and
Okay.
we were
The elevation is
it's
not fair in sports, not fair in recreational hiking.
You don't have to tell me twice, buddy. I absolutely agree.
It's awful. Like, I don't understand how people can adapt to that.
Actually, if I send you a video, can you put it up on the thing?
If you text me, it'll take me longer, but
okay, if I email it to you. Well, I'm gonna look to see. My brother and I. Hold on. Let's see if I can find it easy.
The bus Russ says, if you ever come to the White Mountains in New Hampshire, make sure to get in touch. I did have 2 friends go to the White Mountains this summer, so I was this close to going, but I chickened out with work obligations.
White Mountains?
Yeah.
Where are they?
It's one of the main hiking attractions in the Northeast.
Okay.
There's like the Appalachian Trail and like the Great Smoky Mountains, but in the Northeast, the White Mountains are like the main ones.
Here we go. I'm gonna send you a video. Or wait, hold on. Is this?
And so this is interesting from Jay Bart. He says, I'm 56, used to hike all the time, no more. The heights and anxiety kill me. I think the opposite, because I think hiking and, exercising and seeing the nature, it calms you in a way. Like once you get used to it and once you get in that groove, like similar to a runner's high, if you believe in that. Like
I believe in runner's high.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you would.
Yes. Well, but I do believe in it. I think it's like a real thing. Wait, hold on. Hey, Greg. No, sorry. I'm trying to find this video. Keep talking.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see. I guess if you're like truly afraid of heights, then that would make you anxious. But for me, it's the complete opposite. I'm anxious when I'm sitting at home doing nothing, but when I'm hiking, that kind of relieves everything.
There we go. Should I send it to you? How should I send it to you?
Send it in the chat here. Can you do that? Is it a link or a video?
Here, I'll send it to you on Drive. Does that work?
Yeah.
Email you a link.
Yeah.
All right. Here we are, waiting for. We have any? What? Oh, look at that!
Sooner than anticipated.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, we've been filtering for a while.
You might hear some dog prancing around here.
Why's that? With my brother. Hang on. Hold on. Let me give you I guess I can't share this video. We did do the Colorado when we were in Colorado. We did do the test of how thin the air was. It was it's a real thing. It is a real thing. Jokes aside, it's an absolute real thing.
Another
Mike, have you ever been in Colorado and exerted yourself and noticed the air thing?
No, I went for a couple long walks, but never anything too active.
Like in your neighborhood or?
I was visiting, and so I saw it, but I can't speak to the thin air.
So before we start, I'm just going to open the door to my office. My dog has had a stomach ache for 2 days, has ruined 2 living room rugs. I came home, they're shit. So I had to work from home today, and he's feeling better, but he hasn't pooped all day, and I'm a little worried. So I'm just going to open the door in case he comes to get me.
Let him poop.
And then we can start. No. Let me tell you, bro.
It's dangerous.
The second time I got rid of hang on.
Another cool thing I was going to mention.
What you got?
So I'm from Atlantic City, New Jersey. People have probably heard of it. On the trip this summer that I went on, I went from Denver to Yellowstone and, Midwest. There's a city with a population of 30 called Atlantic City, Wyoming.
Wow.
And we went to Atlantic City, Wyoming, and it's that
feels like a mistake.
It's
not
pretty,
near the Atlantic at all.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
It
small population, and it's like a town from the 1820s that has not changed at all since then. Very, very cool.
I like those towns.
Yeah, I want to go to Montana or Wyoming or some shit next time my brother and I hike. I would love to. Utah's pretty too. In college, I went to Cedar City. Man, that place is fucking pretty. Yeah. All right. Well, I suppose 15 minutes of filtering is enough. So
let's do it.
We can get going. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. Hey there. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, the official realtor of the Process, processrealtor.com, and Stateside Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe at statesidevodka.com. On the show today, Joel Embiid looked pretty great for a couple of games against Charlotte, and then the Sixers got their asses handed to them against the Utah Jazz at home. The Portland Trailblazers appear to be falling apart, and there are leaks all over the place. Plus, are you allowed to be mad at Tobias Harris for his contract? Also, the Pacers are going to blow it up. Do you want any of their players? Before we get going, we got a note that a longtime Process pup crossed the Rainbow Bridge. We want to send love to Riley's family. Riley has been a Process pup for a very long time, has been listening to the pod since 2014. I think Riley was 15 years old, but a good dog. And, I always say it's very sad when pets leave us, but the amount of love that they give and receive in their lives is awesome. And they, a well cared for pet knew nothing but a fucking awesome life. So rest in peace, Riley. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here. Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy that knows that there's no actual Jazz in Utah. That is Mike Levin. Welcome, sir.
That was annoying.
Yeah, it was a waste of time, honestly.
Feels like we're doing a rerun of a podcast, or like I'm about to do a rerun of a podcast, where it's like, Embiid gets hurt, and he comes back in a game that's pretty much already decided. There's a bunch of guys that stopped shooting, forgot how to do it. Not enough ball handling. They're slow as shit. And they got outclassed by a better coach team that knows how to score and defend. And
a much more talented team. Just outcoached, but much more
everything.
talented.
Everything. Yeah. Top to bottom. Embiid's had a bunch of, against Charlotte, undermanned Charlotte team. Played really well. Had a bunch of impressive things. That was some really nice passing. He had 6. This is per the Charlotte broadcast. Embiid had 6 dunks in those 2 Charlotte games after having 6 in the 13 other games this season total.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
And he had obviously earlier in this game, he had the big full court with multiple crossovers into a dunk over Whiteside. And then he gets hurt. And his ribs are going to be bothering him, or his abdomen or something. They're just not good enough. They're a play-in team. They don't rebound well. Andre Drummond's a fake rebounder. Look how much fucking Hassan Whiteside rebounded over him. He's not that good. And they're slow, and when they don't hit enough shots, they're really, really hopeless. Embiid can do a lot defensively. I thought he played a really good game defensively for the most part. He had to take a couple plays off, it seemed like, when he started getting hurt and being in pain. But like impacted so many lobs and really made it hard for everybody else. But like there's just not enough defenders in this team to play good basketball. And then when they're not shooting the ball, they're not moving the ball, they're slow as shit. Like they just have to get out in transition because half court offense is just sludge unless it's like Maxey gets the edge on somebody. That's the only thing. Like how often are they just in end of shot clock situations?
Like every time.
Every possession.
Yeah,
it's every possession. And how easy when it isn't, say like it's an out of bounds play or something with like 4 seconds left on the clock. Every other team is just going to be like, yeah, just pressure them because they're not going to be able to get around you because they're slow as shit and they can't make quick decisions. Just like pressure ball handlers, they can't get anywhere. I mean, they're so methodical in the half court. Like that's their whole thing is being methodical. And yet they can't make a fucking entry pass to Joel. Like that's the whole thing. Yeah, our whole thing is like being methodical, taking our time, getting the ball to Joel so he can do things. And they can't even do that. And they can't even punish teams for easy buckets when they double them. Like it's just simple basketball that this team is not able to do, not coached to do, not fast enough to do in NBA speed. Like it's just like over and over again. They're a playing team. That's who they are.
When you say methodical, the phrase methodical to me usually brings up that you're like sort of decisive and deliberate. They're not particularly deliberate. They're just, slow. I think.
They're definitely not decisive. They're deliberate, and sometimes in that they hold the ball and like try to make the perfect little dribble handoff from 35 feet away from their basket. It's just like over and over again. There's not enough players in this team until they make a Ben trade or magic happens. They just don't have enough really good players that can do like the simple basketball shit.
So this game tonight was, even when it was close, was obvious that it wasn't going to be close because they couldn't guard Utah or they weren't guarding Utah. And it was obvious that Utah was playing at about half speed for the most of the first half, and that this was going to end up being a game that they were going to win when they tried hard. I want to give two sides of an Embiid thing here after the 2 Charlotte games and then this game. The one thing, to be fair, to qualify it, because he did play great against Charlotte and he played like, I guess, fine against Utah, is that there's probably not another player in the NBA who is asked to be the best offensive player and best defensive player on the team. And not just best, but primary. Because without him on defense, they fall apart. Without him on offense, they fall apart. That's like a rare ask, because so many times with an offensive player, when you see them sort of taking it easy on defense, it's because physically there's not enough. So I want to qualify it by saying that is a rare ask, and for the elite of the elite of the elite. That
yeah, at least when they had Ben with like Horford, they had a good offense and just couldn't really defend anybody without him on the court.
Right. The other thing, though, is like I'm kind of tired of the obliterate the team that can't guard you because they are simply too small. And then when there is difficulty, I would love to see him obliterate somebody really good.
Embiid?
Yeah. And like, even from the beginning of this game, the shots were going down. Like he was hitting 15-footers and blah, 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 and they were getting out in transition. But like, there was something about this game and something about the baskets that were going in from him that just like, I'm certainly not going to be you got to get in the post and get low and blah, blah, blah guy. But that mid-range thing ain't really working this year. Like, you just don't have it. And like, I don't know, man. Like, I would just love to see him obliterate somebody really good. That's what I would like to see. I'm sick of like against the good teams. It's like, I got hit in the I don't want to be this guy, but I'm a little annoyed tonight. It's like, oh, I got hit in the ribs. Like, oh, he fouled me. I got to fucking try to get myself thrown out of the game because I'm over this thing. And it can't be easy for him. This season's been like fucking kind of a disaster. They started off great, and then all the COVID stuff and the thing with what's his fuck and all. I get it, but this is a few years of just absolutely obliterating the shitty guys And then when it gets tough, I just want to see him obliterate somebody good.
I mean, I think he has. Charlotte definitely didn't have anybody that could cover him this time.
Nobody.
Gobert is good. I think he was doing pretty well against Gobert. And the problem that this team consistently doesn't do is put the people that can cover Joel, which is a list of like 7 that can cover him like enough. They can stay with him a little bit.
It's more than you think. I mean, because the big guys give him trouble, even if you don't think of them as players.
So those guys need to be put in pick and rolls so that they can defend in space. And the Sixers don't do that.
But he doesn't roll.
Like walk into
He
it.
doesn't do anything.
He doesn't roll. They don't have enough ball handlers that can that can beat those guys off the dribble. They don't have enough shooters to make them pay quickly. They don't have enough quick decision makers where they can get the ball into that offense within like 14, 12, whatever seconds left on the shot clock, because it's always like, oh, there's under 6, and here comes like a contested 16-foot ISO from Tobias or Shake or Seth or whoever. And it's just there's a million reasons. I look, Embiid hasn't been perfect this year. His touch is off. He's been short on a lot of things. He had a couple good games against a depleted Charlotte team, and now he's injured with a rib thing. So maybe he sits. Who knows? But like, he's not I don't know. Yeah,
I'm not saying
there's more problems. Yeah. I know. I feel the frustration for
fucking
sure.
Saying it
for sure. And he definitely also, like, we've talked about this before, like, does the make excuses, not making excuses thing.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I mean, in the totality of this team, does not good enough against anybody. I mean, even if they made the play-in, like, I don't think this team's a playoff team. Maybe they can make the play-in, but like,
oh well, they'll be in the play-in.
Against a one game playoff against one of these teams, do we think that they are going to win that game? Like, I don't have the faith that they will. They'll probably end in the 7-8 range, and they'll probably lose to whoever it is, and then maybe they end up beating, I don't know, Toronto or something, maybe, but maybe not. Like, they might just not make the playoffs this year if things don't happen with a Ben trade. And we can talk about the because that is working in that sense. Like, things are starting to blow up.
Yeah, we'll talk
other
about
places.
Not yet.
But like,
not yet.
It's more than, unless it's the move, like the biggest move, like, holy shit, it all like falls into place. And now look at all this stuff, especially if you don't trade Maxey and you have like multiple guys that can do things with the ball, then maybe it's like, okay, maybe then. But I think we're just far off because there's too many slow guys who can't do enough on the court.
The only other Embiid thing is I watched him a lot in pick and roll situations tonight. The place I will give him credit is he's actually setting the pick now. Like, he is planting himself, blah. But afterwards, he doesn't even pop. A lot of times, I don't know if you notice, he just fucking stands there. He sets the pick and then he just stands there. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm annoyed. Do you know, I'm looking at DraftKings right now, the coach of the year odds at DraftKings Sportsbook. Do you know that Doc Rivers is actually 8th in likelihood to win coach of the year?
I think that's probably like leftover from the, like, hey, they're scrappy and giving a fighting chance when they were down, but
he's plus 2,000.
He's proven he can do that sometimes. But
Monty Williams is plus 350. Steve Kerr is plus 350. Then Billy Donovan, James Borrego, Steve Nash, Eric Spoelstra, Quinn Snyder, and then right after that, Doc Rivers at plus 2,000. I wouldn't put, if you've downloaded DraftKings Sportsbook, that's not where I'd put your money. This Saturday, UFC 269, the long-awaited battle between, I should have looked this up. I know it's Poirier, Oliveira. It looks like Oliveira. CJ, if you know that, I don't know. You seem like you'd probably be a UFC guy. Look, all I'm saying is this weekend with UFC 269, you can just bet $1 and win 100 in free bets if either fighter lands a punch, whether it's Poirier or the other guy. That's all it takes. One punch landed, any jab, cross, hook, uppercut, whatever, and you get $100 in free bets with your $1 bet. Lightweight title bout is 5 rounds. There's got to be at least one punch landed, right? Bet $1 and win $100 in free bets. Love DraftKings. Safe, secure, reliable. Best of all, you don't know how to pronounce the other guy's name. Doesn't matter. You can still bet on him. Poirier or the other Deposit when you want, withdraw when you want. Money goes right in, money comes right out. It's right here. Safe, secure, reliable. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code RTRS. Throw down $1 for the UFC 269 main event and win $100 in free bets if Poirier or the other guy land a punch. That's code RTRS this Saturday. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the UFC. You got to be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, PA only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. It has, as a positive, Shake Milton's played pretty well, I would say, over the last several games.
Jumper's back. He's up to like 34% from three.
I didn't look at that, but
in the Charlotte game, I'm not to be dunks guy. I don't know this, but I looked at it when he had a dunk in one of the Charlotte games, and I was like, how many dunks does he have in his career? Do you want to
guess? Shake Milton?
Yeah.
Well, you don't see him dunk a lot. 9?
He had, in the Charlotte game, his 4th dunk of his career. At least per Basketball Reference. That's their stats, but
that's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he had, and not in like 2 seasons did he have one. I think he had like 1 as a rookie and then like 2 as a second year player, something like that. And it's been a while. So good for him getting a dunk. That was cool. Fun stuff.
Maybe he should start instead of Maxey.
Then they're even slower. Once again, there's just not like Maxey. They need to like 3 or 4 Maxies, or like, I don't know, just play anybody that can do something fast, anything at all. It's intolerable. And like Korkmaz is shooting like shit. He's 6 for his last 78 or something like that, and he just like can't. He went from being like benched in the second half to like all of a sudden playing with the starters late. I was like, where is that? He was benched for Isaiah Joe, now he's back. Okay. And like to not play Isaiah Joe in the second night of a back-to-back when the team needs a shot, like some boost, like nothing. Not that Isaiah Joe's the answer, but at least he does things fast. And Korkmaz hasn't been doing anything. Nothing well at this point. We should say Maxey, glad he seems to be okay. I love him so much. To like look really out of it and very upset. That was an alarming fall when he snapped back.
Yeah.
And like his face like looked genuinely like
he looked
out
concerned.
of it. I've never seen. Yeah, it's like a shocking like what's happening like brain wise there. But to like get up and be laughing and making jokes at Joel and Danny is like he's the best. There's nobody better in the world. I love him. He's okay.
I just think they gotta get him as many minutes as they can without Embiid on the court.
But the success of this team depends on those 2 guys working together. They eventually will need to be really good together because they're going to play a lot of minutes together. And if Maxey is not like successful with Joel, then this team has even a lower ceiling in the future.
This team is never going to win a championship with Tyrese Maxey, not in Embiid's prime, as like a primary playmaker. He's not.
I mean, I disagree. Like they have to try it. Like there's no other options. Like they need to get him to be like comfortable playing with each other so they can work together.
They need to get him on the court where he can score points and keep his value high. Because
it's not like that's not happening with Joel though. Like it's not like there's so many options when Joel is on the court. Like they need to just figure it out, the 2 of them, because they're the 2 most important players on the team. And they need to be able to play together. But even if it's struggling now, which it is. They have to work through that. That is part of like this. If this season is to mean anything at all, then it should be like Maxey's improvement and Maxey and Joel's pairing together.
But Maxey and Joel aren't the pair.
Then what else are we doing?
Well, I don't know.
They should be. We have to work it out. They have to figure it out. Maxey's really good. He take a big leap.
He's
and
20.
They have to.
If they're going to win a championship with Joel Embiid as the primary guy, it's not going to be with Maxey as the primary perimeter guy. There's no chance of it happening.
But it's not. You're looking at things too binary. Like he can be one of guys that can do things on the court. We need.
They're going
to
trade him. That he is going to be part of whatever trade. He's got.
Then if that's the case, then that's the case. But like the doc can't be acting like we're going to trade him. They have to see if it works out. They have to work through this thing. Like if they trade him, then if they trade him with Ben, they get better before like the ultimate guy that we don't like regret it because he's really good on a really, really good contract and they should be trying everything they can to make the 2 of them work together so that when they get a guy that will have a bigger offensive role, which I don't disagree with, like they should try to do that for sure, and not assume Maxey is just going to become Damian Lillard or something. They should try to get better players, obviously. But in the meantime, they're the two most important players, and you need to make sure your two most important players can coexist on the court together.
I would disagree. I think the most important thing is making sure that Maxey continues to score and look good. Honestly, like he's 20. He's at least 3 or 4 years from being like that sort of a player. He's like at this point he's a third guard, and it like I don't know. It's fine. It is notable as soon as Embiid came back and they started having to play this offense that he just doesn't know what to do. I'm not saying he can't ever be on the court, but I would maximize the minutes on the court where Embiid's not on the court, and you can just tell him to go. Just like when Embiid wasn't there and he was doing it for all those games, I would find every minute I could to have him on the court when Embiid's not on the court. And if Maxey's going to play 30 minutes and Embiid's going to play I don't know, 33 or something, then 15 of those minutes, Maxey's got to be on the court for all 15 of those minutes. Then Embiid.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree that like when he's not. I think less for Joel and more for like the team can't survive when one of those guys is not on the court because they don't have enough firepower, or like at least if it's Joel and shooters, then you can go like, okay, just someone eventually dump it into him in the post, and he'll either beat his man or get fouled or kick it out to shooters, and maybe you can survive those things. And Maxey, like he needs to be on those court for sure. But like overall, a far more important thing in my mind, unless Daryl's position is like, we're definitely trading Maxey, is like, these are our two best players. We should figure out how they can coexist together. And like, I don't take it as a foregone conclusion that just because Maxey was sick and now he's dealing with, I don't know if there's any repercussions of this. Embiid was out. Like it takes time for them to like work through things together. They haven't spent a ton of time on the court, but I don't think that means that they could never. I think if anything, that means like, because of how middling this season is, that would spur me to want to put them on the court together more. But I don't disagree that when Embiid's not on the court, Maxey needs to be there so that he can get his shots up and so that he can, carry the offense basically.
Do you have anything else on these last few games? Because I want to talk about the Portland thing, and then we do have pretty good mailbag. Embiid was great against Charlotte. I don't.
Yeah. We're taking little things. Tobias has been shooting a little more quickly off the catch. Doc, there's videos of Doc just like losing his mind on the bench anytime he does it, which is pretty fun. And so like, if Tobias sees those videos, like I wonder how those conversations go. Like, if man to man, they'll be like, hey, don't show me up like that. Basically, I don't know. Or if Tobias is like, okay, he's right, I have to do this. I wonder that. But it has seemed a little bit, not as much as I'd want, but a little bit in the past couple of games that he is more willing to pull quickly off the catch. The pick and roll coverage is frustrating against a team like Utah when they have guys that can just pull up. It seems like one easy pick and Gobert sets good picks. Just like if Embiid's dropping, they just like easily walk into like wide open shots. Donovan Mitchell just knows he can walk right into it. And that's aggravating. A couple nice Matisse moments offensively, and then a bunch of like disappearing and bad shooting and all that stuff. Just like aggravating. Not enough guys on the team can do enough things. Like just not enough. Tough Danny game. A number of nominees for Danny's of the game. Biffing a rebound out of bounds when no one was around him. That was tough. Trying a lefty floater. It was at the end of the shot clock, but trying a lefty floater that was very generously blocked by Mike Conley. And then Danny passed directly to Royce O'Neal. So that was nice. But his defense was pretty good. And listen, Danny can shoot even if he's shooting 0 for 5 from 3, he can shoot any catch and 3 shot he wants. Anyone.
Yeah.
Any single one. Happy to do it. Even if a guy's draped all over him, he rises, he elevates, he shoots it high. I trust him to do that. Anything else, I don't trust him to do a single thing. And I want to shout out, because what else are we playing for? A few nice little jumpers and floaters from Charles Bassey.
Yes. What happened?
Nice touch.
Charles Bassey was getting all this run. I guess Embiid came back. That's what happened.
Embiid came back.
Yeah. But
I also love the
Embiid.
Embiid alley-oop to himself was nice. Off the glass was pretty solid. Yeah, I mean, Drummond is just going to do what Drummond does. In some games, it's like worthwhile. In some games, it's just like, what's happening? You're getting outplayed by Hassan Whiteside. Fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, whatever. We'll see what the injury stuff happens. We are into December with some teams melting down in the mid-December trade deadline or trade for the factor changes of that they can start to trade players that were recently signed. That could change the calculus, but we're living in this, and they're going to be like a hovering around or maybe a little above 500 team until something changes, because they're just not that good. They don't have enough good players. And they play the Warriors next, and I do think Steph will break the threes record against us. I think he's 10 back, and I think he's going to get 10.
It'd be nice against his brother. Real
I think he's going for it. I think everyone's going to be like, let's get Steph the record now.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
So we will talk about the teams that are melting down just after we talk about Big Barker. I was mentioning if you're listening to this pod, you didn't see the warm up and mentioned that Rebel has had a stomach issue over the last few days, and just, I mean, the poop all over the living room rug was just horrible. 3 days. I actually worked from home today just to let him out back. But I love my dog so much that even though he shit all over my house because his stomach hurt, I felt bad for him. And that is the kind of love that you got to show your dog. You got to get your dog a Big Barker. Rebel has his Big Barker, didn't get any poop on his Big Barker. Got all over the fucking living room rug, but not all over his Big Barker. It's Christmas time. You got to get your dog a Christmas present. Stop fucking around with those cheap beds you see in the pet store and get him a Big Barker. It is the only bed proven by Penn Vet to improve the quality of your dog's life. Not bullshit. Improvements in joint function and pain severity and joint stiffness, in gait, improvement in gait, improvement in quality of life. Penn Vet did a study. Big Barker is legit. BigBarker.com/Ricky is where you go for the Big Barker dog bed with the processed pup patches. I keep saying big. Rebel's not a big dog. He has a big Barker. He's 40 pounds. They have them in all sizes, even the Barker Jr. for the tiny little dogs. The dogs are animals. They sleep a lot, just like us, except they sleep even more. You need a good bed. Your dog needs a good bed. Stop fucking around. BigBarker.com/Ricky. 10-year warranty. Foam doesn't flatten, or they replace it for free. 1-year at-home trial. Send it back if you don't like it. Full refund. They'll even pay for shipping. You're going to let your dog not get a Christmas present? What kind of dog owner are you? Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds.
Woof.
All right, here's what's going on with Portland. They fire Neil O'Shea. Then Woj writes this whole thing, basically from the voice of Neil O'Shea, with some interesting things in there. One, that Lillard attempted to force or muscle the Trailblazers into trading CJ McCollum and 4 first-round picks, I think it was, for Ben Simmons. I think that's what I think that's what the trade was. Then there was a Shams report that he wanted to play with him, but to be clear, he wanted to play with him in Portland. Then Woj also says, sort of strangely, that that the Trailblazers and prospective new GM candidates are worried about giving Dame Lillard a max extension. Lillard then today at practice says that he isn't requesting a trade, which means that he probably is going to. And I think that was it, right? And then CJ McCollum has a collapsed lung.
Sounds like a Sixer.
Yeah. So, I mean, as you were saying, to Maury's credit, this is kind of what you wait around for, is that this situation always seemed like when we had David Thorpe on, who works with Henry Abbott, and Henry Abbott was the one that reported that Dame Lillard was going to ask for a trade. We asked him, did the reporting of that make Lillard not ask for a trade? And he thought that it did. I actually think that's possible. I actually think they changed the course of what was going to happen. But, and I don't know if he gets traded before the deadline, but I really think he's gonna. I really think Lillard's gonna get traded before the deadline. And if it means giving him those extra 2 years, fuck it. I might be dead by then anyway. It wouldn't be the first player that got a extension into bad years for you to get 2 or 3 good years. Like, I would be fuck it. I wouldn't think twice about giving him the 2 years if that was the, that was what it's going to be. I don't know. This is why I saw a quote from Bradley Beal that he's not going to sign an extension, until he's not going to re-sign until the off season. So I don't know. I feel like waiting around may prove beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you do. You get one shot to make this trade.
Yep.
You get one shot to do it. And after the trade is made, you don't get to say like, well, you took so long and that's why you didn't get the return you wanted and you got impatient. Like, at this point, we are pod committed to getting the best deal possible. There hasn't been, and me saying this is going to make it happen, but there hasn't been any new Simmons updates. We're just like living in this reality where he's not showing up and nobody really gives a fuck if he's getting paid or not. I certainly don't care.
I still think a bunch of that was for show anyway.
Sure.
As this is maybe proving.
So like, things open up in mid-December. Between mid-December, there's 2 months before the deadline. So it's like, whatever you got to do. Like, it's very bizarre to see both teams go back and forth basically as like, well, we would love to pair Ben and Dame. And we're like, no.
Yeah.
We don't want. CJ is a nice player. We would do a lot of Tobias, nice guy, but with CJ, I'm sure. I think CJ is definitely a better offensive player, and I think a pretty sizably worse defensive player. And now he has a collapsed lung, and so that's hard. Yeah, I don't know. And then you factor in the like Portland politics in it with like who did Olshey like, and then who does Dame respond to, and was Chauncey his guy, and then other things. It just seems like a lot of drama over there, and none of it's good. It seems like a really shitty organization for such a nice little city over there.
Great city. Loved my time in Portland.
So I have no idea. I have no idea what's going to happen, but these sort of team meltdowns, as there are like, especially in the East, a lot of good teams, a lot of at least above average teams. And in the West, if the Blazers don't make the playoffs, 2 of the Wolves, the Kings, and I would say probably the Pelicans. I don't think the Thunder or the Rockets or the Spurs are gonna make it. So I think the Pelicans, if Zion comes back, who the fuck knows? But 2 of
real fall from grace for the West this year.
Totally, especially like the top of the conference with the Suns and Warriors, I think is very legit. But everything else is pretty middling, especially Denver without the guys that they have. Especially the Clippers. I think the Clippers are a play-in team unless Kawhi gets back. I think the Lakers certainly could be a play-in team. Dallas is vulnerable. There's like a lot. If you're in the West, like you could certainly make a run at a play-in, whatever. You can get into the top 6, but no one's getting past. In my mind, no one's getting past Phoenix or Golden State. It's gonna be one of those 2 teams. And so, if you're in the East, though, like it makes sense to tank because there's only 2 teams that are bad, really, which is Detroit and Orlando. So I wonder if Portland decides like, let's keep going. Like we've made the playoffs 8 straight years. That's the longest streak in the league. They like to say that a lot. They might just be like, it's the first year with a new coach. Let's not tear it down. I don't know. There's no way to know what happens, but these kinds of organizational meltdowns in Portland and then Indiana are why you wait and don't just trade them for like Malik Beasley and a nice handshake.
By the way, they were talking about it on TV a lot the other night. Luka is pretty fat this year.
Totally.
Like that dude, look, and when you look
and he's
at
still really, really good despite the clear and obvious changes he could make to his body to make himself better.
Yeah. Really good. But also, like after you look at his stats after his rookie year, like pretty flat as to like what he's been able to produce. But like you can't be a championship level player and be the fucking the shape that he's in. Like you can't. So yeah, and Indiana also said that or there was a report that they were looking to trade Miles Turner, Donatas Sabonis, and Karis LeVert. By the way, shout out TJ McConnell, who had wrist surgery and will be out for several months on the mend. Love you,
everybody
TJ.
in Indiana. Get your elective surgeries now, because why
Yes.
not? They've been doing Sabonis Turner for just as long as we've been doing Simmons and Embiid, and because they're a smaller market, they haven't gotten credit for it. But like, that fit is worse than the Simmons and Embiid fit was. Pretty sizably.
Yeah.
And Sabonis is a really, really good player, but he's also a very problematic player. And like, where do you put him? Like, if he's a center, he doesn't protect the rim. If he's a power forward, he doesn't shoot, and he doesn't really
wonder where we heard that.
Great. Totally. So and Turner's a good player, but he's also like a pretty clear 3-and-D center.
Yeah.
Also not that mobile, although he's gotten more mobile, and like not very creative offensively. And he's going out there after like year, whatever, 7 of his career, and saying like, I'm more than just a role player. And it's like, you're kind of not.
Really.
Like, you're a good role player. Like, you're a good 3-and-D player. You're probably one of the top 5 defensive centers in the league, maybe better.
He'd be fucking awesome on like Golden State.
Like, I mean, he'd be awesome on Charlotte. I would love him to go to Charlotte.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I mean, then you get into gold. So I don't know. Indiana's weird. Karis LeVert's weird in that like, he's 27. People still talk about him like he's 22. I loved him coming out of college. He's been injured so many times. He hasn't ever fully put it together for like long stretches of time. So I don't know who they end up trading him for. I'm not that interested in LeVert as like the main return in a Simmons situation. Sabonis, Ben to Indiana has always made sense to me to pair with Miles Turner. That's always made sense to me. Because Ben, Brogdon, Turner really like lines up with each other's strengths and weaknesses a lot. But I don't know if the trade will be there for it, because obviously we're not interested in Sabonis. Trade. It would have to be a 3-team trade. Yeah. So it gets complicated. I mean, you said Golden State. I think that makes a ton of sense. But there's a report today in The Athletic, Tim Kawakami, saying that they absolutely under no circumstances want to trade James Wiseman. And I hope that's a lie. I hope that's a lie for their case. I hope that is them saying that to keep boosting his value and act like that, because first of all, he's not good. Like he's good in an empty gym. Sure. Like, maybe does he become like a fine rolling big man that can like do what Willie Cauley-Stein does? Like, sure. But like, you have Steph Curry in his prime right now playing out of his mind. Draymond's still playing incredible basketball. Clay is coming back. You're getting a ton of contributions from your role players. If you really wouldn't trade James Wiseman, who you already made a mistake by not drafting LaMelo over,
they would trade James Wiseman.
Yeah, well, then it's malpractice. If they're like, well, we're good enough. Like, obviously they're a good team, but like, they're not that different from the team that finished in the play-in tournament last season. So they look better this year, absolutely, and they probably will look better if Clay comes back, even if he doesn't come back at 100. But they're not like hands down, we're sleepwalking to the championship this year. Like, if you can trade a guy who's not in your rotation because he's hurt and you were better when he was out of the rotation last year because he's not good yet, if you can trade that guy for one of the best defensive centers in the league who also stretches the floor, which would be really nice to put with Draymond, who doesn't shoot, then you do it. I hope they're lying. Like, I'm not a Warriors fan. I don't really care, but like, Wiseman's not that good. He might never be good. And you can win championship right now if you do that. And so I hope it's lies. If it's lies, then great. But yeah.
Before we get to the mailbag, the Apple Podcast 5-star review is brought to you by Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. CJ and I were talking a lot about Stateside during the filter in, but they're now offering the vodka sodas in single flavor packs, and they have the Black Label bourbon available. They also sell a combo pack with the vodka and the Black Label bourbon. StatesideVodka.com. You got to be 21. We're at 2,980 5-star ratings. When we get to 3,000, I read all the reviews on a pod. This comes from Scoot State. IC Connection. My name is Scotty Kaufman. I met Mike at an Ithaca event in LA before the lockdown. Was supposed to talk about industry stuff and talked about Joel instead. Love the pod, fellas. Keep it up. Do you remember meeting Scotty Kaufman?
Sure. Yeah, I was on a panel.
Oh, okay.
And then every once in a while in those kinds of things, someone comes up with a little grin on their face. Let's talk about the fucking Sixers. So yeah.
Here we go. Just an email from Tim before we get to the YouTube comment. Hey guys, in the Lillard situation, what do you think is most likely happening with him? It's been reported that he would want to play with 25 in a trade where Lillard stays in Portland. Why is it reported that he would prefer to have Simmons than leave Portland? Do you think Dame just doesn't want to get up and move? Do you think players don't want to play with Embiid? I'm not super concerned, but there doesn't seem to be anyone that wants to come to Philly and play with the big fella. Is it more that Dame doesn't want to leave Portland, or is it more that players don't want to play with Embiid? Curious as to what you think is happening here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dame wants to stay in Portland. I think he wants to win one in Portland. I think he feels a strong connection to the city. I feel like he looks at Giannis, he looks at guys from the past that like 1-1 Dirk in there, the place that they were drafted and stayed the whole time. I think ideally he would like to be the person to lift it over the top in Portland. It's not going to happen, but I think that's what he wants. I also think people are not dying to play with Joel Embiid.
No.
I don't think anyone, if people were dying to play with him, then I think that they would have by now. But I also think that I'm not so concerned that it's like no one wants to. I'm not saying he's like 2013 Dwight Howard that everyone's like, get that guy away from me. Like, I think it's just like he's a guy that's very successful that people acknowledge is good, and I think he hasn't either cared or been good enough at, or whatever it is, the recruiting part of being a superstar that modern NBA players kind of have to do if they want to bring guys here.
I've mentioned the Olympic thing is an enormous thing, and hanging out on All-Star Weekend is an enormous thing. The relationship part of this is huge. There's plenty of great players to play with, to team up with or whatever. And he is a great player who is just not in that group of players. You know?
I think he's starting to like care about his teammates in that way. Like he's talked about like going to dinners with these guys and feeling like he's together with them more. And that's a part of it. But I think to be more of a recruiter, I think is kind of the final part of the job. The other thing with Dame, I think, is he certainly considers himself an alpha, Dame. And so he would rather be like, hey, come to me, rather than be a guy that goes to somewhere else. I feel like there's pride in that or something like that. So that's just the read. I don't know.
This ends up with Harden on the Sixers next year.
Maybe.
Like that's how this ends.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen here. I'm going to get fucking broken down, James Harden. Whatever. I'd rather have that than what we have now. The hard to stomach YouTube comment of the week comes from Rashid Frazier. NND redemption for CJ. May the force be with you. CJ, December, NND.
Very, very kind of Rashid to offer that opportunity, but I consulted with my medical professional and was told that it's unhealthy to condone in those activities. So I'm gonna follow his path that he laid out for me and be my best self in
what a weird thing to ask a medical professional.
Yeah, you do a lot of research when you got a lot of free time when you're testing yourself like that. So yeah, thank you, Rashid, but no, thank you.
Well, before we get to the mailbag, Adam Ksebe is the official realtor of the process. I think markets settled down a little bit buying homes. I don't know. Thankfully, I bought one. I don't have to worry about it anymore. You need somebody you trust when you buy a house. I mean, it's ridiculous. You go into this place, you get to see it once or twice. Then you got to commit to spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on it for 30 years. You need somebody you trust. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, the official realtor of the process. Or if you already have a home and you haven't refinanced, you got to do it. They're eventually going to raise interest rates. Like that's going to happen. Refinance now. He's got a refinance place for you too. Ksebe can specifically sell you a house in Delaware or Maryland. Delaware, the thing that I want to bring up to you is the beach houses. You're going to pay much lower property tax than you are in Jersey. You're talking about $1,000, $1,500 a year. You're going to pay less for the house, and you're going to get just as good a place in one of their awesome beaches, whether it's Lewis or Rehoboth or Dewey or Bethany or any of those places. Adam Ksebe and his whole team can help you, Ksebe. But if you're not looking for a house in Delaware or Maryland, Jersey, PA, New York, whatever, You go to Ksebe, he will find somebody. He will find the right person. And I don't mean he'll just Google them. He interviews people to make sure that it's the right person for you. Selling a house, buying a house, you need somebody you can trust. And Adam Ksebe has been our guy for so many of our listeners. 302-864-8643. That is 302-864-8643. Call him or text him. I just want people to text Ksebe. I just want you to text him, even if it's not about house. 302-864-8643. Mailbag, writes Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. Writes Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. This comes from John. Hi, Spike. Hi, Mike. First time, long time. Long enough that I always understood the name of the pod. Political question. If Ben Simmons and Jalen Rhaegar ran for mayor of Philadelphia, who would win? It's so good.
I think Ben.
Oh.
I think Ben. Because Ben has at least had measures of success, and there are people who would defend him. I don't think that there's anyone that can point to Rhaegar and go like, here's what he's done. That's what they might think, like he's still fast, or he's still like you believe in the body or whatever it is. Rhaegar sucks, man. Holy shit.
Here's the only devil's advocate thing that, because I think I would largely agree with you, is that one has fans and the other one does not. But if you're going to run a negative ad campaign and you're Rhaegar, I mean, you can run a fucking awesome negative ad campaign. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the one that you run on Rhaegar is just a couple of tweets and drop passes. But if you're Rhaegar running that negative ad campaign, there's just a lot to do. Like maybe you can generate enough hate to get the at least I'm not voting for Simmons vote.
I think a lot of people would be staying home for that.
Yes. Non-political question. Who's the most Philadelphia person in your family? This may seem obvious for Spike, but I'd like to imagine Howard's got some uncle even he wouldn't let on the air. Love the pod, Johnny. Who's the most Philadelphia person in your family, Mike?
My dad's brother, my uncle. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow, that was quick.
Was
What's
a
his name?
long time. It was my Uncle D.
Okay.
A long time Fire Andy guy. Long time Fire Andy guy. Yeah.
I mean, there's
specifically Philadelphia sports. I think my sister
Yeah.
Melanie is also a pretty Philadelphia person generally, and I love her.
My brother Ryan is very Delaware County, like more than anything. And, you know, my mom's side of the family doesn't get a lot of, you know, respect on this pod. Not a lot of talk nationally like my dad does, but they're very Northeast Philly, very Wooder, you know, all that kind of shit. It's still got to go to my dad, though. You know, when my grandfather, Don, everybody called him D, when he was alive, it would have been D. But in lieu of D, it has to be Howard. This comes from Matt. Hey, Spike and Mike, I hope you can settle a debate I'm having with my father. When I'm watching a game with my dad, I get audibly upset at Toby for leaving a finger roll short or mishandling a clutch possession. My dad says I'm not allowed to have outsized anger at Toby just because of the size of the contract he signed. He says I should instead be mad at the executives who orchestrated a situation where they needed to offer a max contract to someone who didn't deserve it. Every time I see an all too common vintage Toby mishap, I can't help it. I blame him for bogging down the Sixers' future while simultaneously hurting us in the moment. So my question is, can I be mad at a player for the contract they signed? Inversely, can I have outsized love and root for a player like Shake who's on a generous contract?
I think the second part, yes, certainly. You can feel like this whole thing is gravy because of how little they're affecting the salary cap or whatever. It's weird in sports where you have to like care about what they're making. Mm-hmm. But even if Tobias was making half as much, his role in the team is to be like the primary perimeter option. Regardless of whether he's getting paid like that. If you ask all of Sixers and Doc and the coaching staff, who is this team's primary perimeter option, they'd say Tobias. He could be making 20 million or 40 million or whatever it is. And too often he does correctable things wrong and bogs them down, all those things, like whether it's coming up short. He does make like tough shots. But if you just paired those like tough shot making instincts with getting to the line more, making quicker decisions, being more willing to shoot threes quick off the catch, being a better passer, moving the ball, like all that stuff, then it wouldn't hurt as much. But it's all of those things combined, because it's like, okay, the thing he does best is like kind of dipsy do into the paint and like turn contested soft touch and it goes in. And so when he does that thing and then he misses, it's like, well, this is what you do. This is the one thing that you like really claim to do. And when you don't do it, then it's like all the other stuff is already partially unforgivable.
He sucks. He really does. It's unbelievable that he's unbelievable. He makes so much money. It really is. I mean, he doesn't suck, but you know what I mean. Non-basketball question. As someone who grew up in Philadelphia but has now lived in New York for 8 years and is contemplating a move to LA, how do you handle the guilt? I can't help but think how nice it would be to live in a city that has the sports teams and many of the people I love. Do you guys miss it? I moved away from my dream job. Do you ever contemplate what life would be like if you tried to compromise on your careers enough to still be able to live in the city of brotherly love? More of a question for you, in that I just moved away, 3 months ago. So 5 months ago, 6 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, I moved right after college, so it's not like I got to be like live as an adult in Philadelphia. I kind of wish I had. I think that would have been cool if I did a couple years there. It'd be cool to like, shoot a movie in Philly someday and live there for like 6 months. Like that would be dope. But I just, because I have a career that I give a shit about a lot, and there's never going to be like any time to do that, to just like move to Philly full time. But a nice, somewhat long stretch for a fun career move that I can be like, hey, let's shoot this movie in Philly. That'd be cool.
I tended, when I lived in Chicago, I appreciated Philadelphia more, and I imagine I will do that the longer I live up here. I don't need to live back there. I'm close enough. And really, for me, I'm in work for most of the day, and the other day I'm in my house. And in those times, I'm not even in any city. I'm just in these buildings, so it doesn't matter. And for me right now, it's kind of neat to go to work in New York City every day. I never thought I was going to do it. Like when WIP, when my career there started becoming good, I thought I would probably be there for much longer than I was. So it's neat to work in New York City. I'm not guilty, like not living in Philadelphia. I fucking had more than my share of fucking Philadelphia and sports teams. I would say that working at WIP for 10 years is like living in Philadelphia for 100. So this comes from Joe. In a zombie-infested wasteland, who is one current Sixer, one process Sixer, and one NBA player not a Sixer, and one media member you would want to help you survive? Okay, current Sixer to help you in zombie wasteland.
Tobias does come to mind.
No,
I feel like a steadying influence. He's very well read, easy to get along with. Maxey would boost morale, but I don't know that he's
he dies early in that movie.
I don't know. I'll say Tobias, and then a process Sixer.
Well, hold on. Let me pick current Sixer. Drummond's too big. I'm gonna pick fucking Springer. I don't know anything about him. He's built well. I can't trust any of the current guys. So I'll pick Springer. Process Sixer. TJ's a good one.
So like a zombie wasteland. We're killing zombies. We're surviving. Yeah. We're finding food. We're foraging.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about like people's backstory. Like if someone grew up like on a ranch or something, that would help. So I'm thinking of like guys. For some reason, I'm thinking of like, did Elliot Williams or Adonis Thomas like grow up with that background? They're strong and fast. That would be helpful. I'm less worried about. It depends what kind of zombies I guess we're talking about. I'm assuming they're slow zombies. It just generally feels like a trait of a zombie is that they're slow. So I'd be more worried about the apocalyptic, like how do we eat food? So whoever's good at like finding food.
So like a farmer.
TJ's good with wine, but
Yeah.
that's not quite there. He might just be good at drinking it.
I love TJ. We should get him on. It's been a few years since he's been on. I would love him doing the wine thing. It just makes me laugh every time I see it.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but it is really funny. The NBA player who is not on the Sixers, who you would want in the zombie apocalypse.
Do I know about anybody Jimmy Butler's coffee beans? I don't know enough
but he's
about
charging you for him.
People who grew up on farms. I don't know. I don't have it.
Isn't Paul George like a hunter or something?
He's annoying. He'd be annoying.
Yeah.
He'd be annoying in the post-apocalypse. Somebody's definitely can handle that. Whoever it is.
And then Sixers media member. This guy picks Sixers Adam because he wouldn't eat a lot of the food.
That's a great pick. I don't know how much people are good at it. I mean, Derek could design a computer.
Yeah, and then charge you for it. This fucking guy. Yeah.
Yeah. With various berries.
Yeah, charge you for advice. Shout out to Derek leaving The Athletic, starting his own thing. $24 for a year. Not for nothing. I think he's probably going to make it hard to make a living at that price at $24 annually with the promise that it never goes up. But God bless him. So sign up for Bodner's newsletter, and he needs as many $24 as he can get, I think, at that price. And then the final email, where is it? I lost it. Oh, here we go. This comes from George. I'm only doing his non-basketball question. Do you call the TV device used to change the channels a remote or a clicker? Some people are pretty adamant about one or the other. Need both of your thoughts.
I mean,
it's
if you're under 84 years old and saying clicker, like, what are we doing here?
Right?
Grow up or get younger.
I don't think it ever clicked in my life, and I'm pretty old. It's the remote. It's definitely the remote. Are you a voice? Do you use the voice thing on the remote?
No.
I didn't until I moved up here and I got Fios, and I don't know where any of the channels are, and it takes too long to find them. It's the first time I've ever used the voice thing on the remote because I don't know where any of the channels are.
I'll use it as a joke. If
Alyssa,
Alyssa's doing it, I'll just be next to her, just saying other stuff. I'm sure not very pleasant to be around, but yeah, too easy to fuck with.
Well, if you're a podcast listener, I'm going to instruct TJ to, after the final song, to put the filter in. You're going to get the 15 minutes of filtering with me and CJ talking about camping and whatnot. So that'll be at the end. I don't even know what next pod on Sunday after the Warriors. Oh my God, that's gonna
be fun. Steph breaking the record.
Points.
It's a particular kind of demoralizing, and it is fun. It is fun to watch them, man. It's just there's still such a special. He's such a special player that like has just changed the whole like vibe of a team and like the arena is different. Even in this like new, more expensive arena, like everyone's collectively like holding their breath and like exploding when he hits another shot. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. And it's still, even after how many years he's been doing it, like it's still like a real thrill to watch him do his thing. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, he's just one of those few guys in sports where the opposing team fans are like oohing and eyeing when they're watching him, because it's so much different than anything else. You've seen great before, but you've never seen great like that. And it's so cool to see him, like, to see that. I'm not cheering for the franchise or anything, but to have those couple of down years and, have him get hurt and then be at his best again, which I never thought we would see again. It's
fun. It's a fun story for sure.
Yeah. All right. We will talk to you Sunday after the Sixers get obliterated, unless they get Isaiah Cannon.
Who do you want because I think he's definitely going to break the record against us. So him hitting his 11th three of the night to take the all-time lead over Ray Allen is going to be shot over someone.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it going to be shot over?
Oh, it's going to be over Thibault.
That's a fair answer. in my mind, it's Korkmaz. I can see it happening already. Matisse is a fair guess for sure, but I sort of think it's going to be Korkmaz enshrined in history forever.
So, wait, was Eric Schau the guy that gave up Pete Rose's 4192 or Mike Schmidt's 500th home run? Whichever it was, I can see him like basically like sitting down on the mound after it happened. I think it was Schmidt's, and I can imagine Korkmaz in that. Just boy, what a good call by you.
I think it's it could also be Drummond doing the like raise your hand, like head down, head down contest,
the close
like
out.
Sad, like I'm just not going to foul, I'm not even going to look, I'm just doing this. It's one of those two. Those are my picks.
All right, we'll talk to you Sunday. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. You know, like this.